Blessed is he who is not ashamed of me.
I'm Christian Nilsson, and you're watching HuffPost Live. A researcher claims Jesus Christ is not only not the Messiah, but he never even existed. For his new book, No Meek Messiah, writer Michael Polkovich studied the works of more than 100 scholars who lived during and shortly after the time it's believed Jesus of Nazareth walked the earth, which is sometime between 7 BC and 33 AD. He says there is not a single mention of a man named Jesus in any of the writings. Polkovich writes, "When I consider those 126 writers, all of whom should have heard of Jesus but did not, the silence from Nazareth and Bethlehem, conflicting Bible stories, and so many other mysteries and omissions, I must conclude that Christ is a mythical character." He says Jesus is nothing more than an urban legend built out of several rabbis who may have existed at that time. The only arguable mention of Jesus Polkovich found was in a book written sometime in the year 95 by Roman historian Josephus Flavius. But author Reza Aslan, who wrote the New York Times bestseller Zealot, says the Flavius mention proves Jesus existed.
In this very large text, he has this throwaway line in this book called The Antiquities, a throwaway line. It's not even about Jesus. It's actually about Jesus' far more famous brother, James, who was the Bishop of Jerusalem at that time in the 60s. And he mentions something about, he says, you know, at that time, James, the brother of Jesus, the one they call Messiah, was put to death. And that's it. The fact that this Jewish historian writing for a Roman audience would have even mentioned Jesus, yet let alone mentioned him when talking about someone else to a Roman audience, is extraordinary. It's practically, it's the ancient archaeological equivalent of a Jesus was here selfie.
However, Polkovich argues that the mention of Jesus was fabricated and added in later editions. He also claims that the Apostle Paul, who is credited for spreading Christianity, was never aware of the virgin birth, nativity, miracles, or many other events that have been connected to Jesus' life. Polkovich's views and his book will likely be controversial, especially because most scholars, regardless of their religious affiliations, agree that Jesus was a Galilean Jew who was crucified on the order of the Roman prefect Pontius Pilate.